Hey, good morning to everybody. Daryl P here, aka Artist in Recovery. I'm out for my usual walk about 4:30 in the morning here around the city. I gotta say this, I see more and more homeless people sleeping out on the sidewalks. I actually just went by somebody with a pillow and blankets. I can't imagine what it's like to sleep, right next to traffic in a doorway, your head on a pillow, laying on the dirty concrete. I can't even imagine. And I think about Trump and, kicking these people off out of Washington, D.C., tell them they got to go somewhere, they can't stay, and I can imagine him, ICE agents saying it to people like that. Where do you think they're going to go? Okay, that's not what this video is about. I rarely talk about this mainly because I don't want to cause any more pain or harm to my friend's family. This is about my friend who OD'd and died, and what my other friends did to him. And it's not a pleasant video. I actually ended up at the police station being asked by the police there if I killed him. Yeah. All right, so let me start at the very beginning here. This is about 25 years ago. I've been clean since 2006. This was around 2001, 2002. And as usual, I had been, I had been smoking rock for about 2 decades at this point, since I was about 20, and I started snorting dope after I got addicted to Oxycontin. So I was cross addicted to heroin and crack, and I would just go off on my own and use every day. I became very selfish, like most addicts do. But after I ran out, I would go look for people that had money or people that could get me high, try to find then I go look for my friends after I don't have any more substances. That's what I used to do. So one day I'd gone through all my money, my supply, and I went to this person's house where I know they use. And these 4 friends, I use that term loosely. These are people I went to school with. These are people I went to a concerts with. They had been using all day together, 4 of them. And I got a cold reception right from the very beginning. They knew my gig. They knew I was there. I had used up all my money, all my stuff, and I was there to leech off them. So I got a pretty cold reception. So I just tried my best to manipulate and try to get a little something. At one point, there's this one guy out of the 4 that had a bad reputation. That most of my friends just smoked crack. This guy was known for doing dope, for shooting, and had a bad reputation. I didn't know him that well. Him and another one of my friends take a ride to go re-up. So I'm still hoping that I could leech something out of these guys. They get back. Okay. The 2 of them that went for the ride go into the bathroom. They don't call me along with them. No, I'm getting pissed off. They're just teasing me. They're just, they have no intention of giving me anything. Remember now I'm talking through my addict mind 25 years ago. All right, so the 2 of them come out of the bathroom, and I'm pretty sure they must have used needles. And we go out. I'm like, I've had enough of this. So I go out the front door. We all kind of go outside to the front yard. And we're standing by the cars, and I'm like, I'm ready to leave. I've had enough being teased, and I'm obviously not going to get anything out of this. One of my good friends, this guy I'd gone to concerts with, I grew up quite a few years with. He's really taking it hard. The stuff really affected him. He's nodding out. He's having a hard time standing up. He's leaning against a car, and he starts sliding down the car. Another friend on this side of me turns to me and he goes, "Geez, Daryl, how come your stuff doesn't do that? How come he doesn't get a high off your stuff like that?" Busting my ass again. At this point, like I said, I've had enough. And I'm watching my friend slide down the car. I really didn't think much of it at that point. I had never seen anybody OD before. I got in my car. I drove away. I drove home. I find out later that friend sliding down the car died. He OD'd right there in the driveway. A couple of minutes after I left. slid down off the car, hit the driveway, never woke up. Now, this is what I heard happened after. The three other supposed friends, they were scared to call the police or ambulance or anything, so they just let him die. They propped him up on a couch, I guess. That's where he was found 3 days later. They all just took off out of the house and left my one dead friend there. Before they did that, they emptied his pockets. He just got paid that day, and I think it was his birthday. So he had a lot of money on him, and they took his car. Yeah, the dead guy. Let him die. Left him there for 3 days. Emptied his pockets, took his car. These are friends. Grew up with them, went to high school with them. This is the point of this video. If you think, if you're using and you think your friends are, they got your back and all this shit, man, when drugs are involved, forget it. It's not just people I know. Anyone will do this. Okay. I get a call to go to the police station from the police. They want to know what happened. They're calling, once the guy was found, they want to know what happened. So I go to the police station and I tell them, I got nothing to hide. I tell them everything, exactly as it happened. I don't know. At one point, one cop stands up and pounds his, I'm sitting on one side of the table, the two cops are on the other side. Kind of good cop, bad cop routine. And the bad cop stands up, pounds his fist against the table and goes, "He's dead, Daryl. Did you kill him? Did you fucking kill him?" Yeah, so, and I'm calm, man, No, I didn't. I didn't know any of this happened until I found out like a week later. Okay, so they let me go. And the cop takes me outside. And after, he admits, he goes, "Daryl, we knew you were telling the truth. We had to get the whole story." The cop tells me this. He says, "You and 3 of the other guys all had the same exact story. Exact. Except one guy. Except one of the guys had a completely different story about the car, the money, and all that." And it's kind of ironic that old friend of mine, right after this happened, he left the state. Still hasn't come back into the state. Moved. Gone. North Carolina. Yeah, so they told me, "Daryl, we know. We did. I told them, I'll take a fucking lie detector test, whatever, I'm telling you the truth. But my friends, but especially this one person, because I was known as a dope user, they pinned it on me, and because I wasn't there to defend myself, they put everything on me. Saying that I was responsible for everything that happened, and I didn't even know what happened. So this is what friends who use do. Here's an after note. This was probably about just a couple of years ago. That friend, that guy that had the main role in emptying the pockets and everything, and blaming me. He ends up, I don't know if we were friends on Facebook. I don't know how that happened, but he ends up instant messaging me, or, in my DMs, the direct message. And he goes, "Hey, dude," he says, "you remember that stuff with Johnny? Wasn't that crazy? You remember that?" Do I remember it? Do I fucking remember it? He actually wrote that to me. "You blamed me for killing him. You blamed me for robbing his dead body. Do I remember it?" Yeah. Needless to say, I blocked him. I'll never have anything to do with any of them again. I feel bad. I feel terrible. The thing is, I had no drugs on me. If I had known Johnny was ODing at that point, I would have 100% taken him to the hospital. I would have thrown him in my car and taken him to the hospital. I had nothing to worry about. I couldn't even imagine just leaving him there. And that eats at me. But I had no idea. Like I said, I had never seen anybody OD. And at that point, he just looked like he had a good buzz. Let this be a warning. Let this be a warning, man. Not just about drugs, but about the people around you who use them. Recovery is possible. Have a good Friday.